Hi, my name is Jung. I'll be talking about Jung Korean Restaurant Business Continuity Plan. So, my BCP overview, or my Business Continuity Plan overview, I'll be talking about Executive Summary, Risk Management, BIA, Incident Response Plan, and BCP Maintenance. So, first I'll be talking about the Executive Summary. So, this Business Continuity Plan outlines key information for Jung Korean Restaurant in the event of a disaster or crisis. So pretty much a plan for an event of a disaster or crisis, like it says. I'll be talking about risk management, BIA, recovery operations, incident response plan, and objectives. So objectives, risk management assessment. So when I was researching about my business, they didn't have a clear assessment of risks that I could see. So it was kind of tough for me to understand, but you could see the little hazards and stuff because they do have a person that comes in, I believe, every couple months to check in, inspect everything. And they always write this. They sign sign a paper that says it's okay it's safe, pretty much, and to be in this building. Prioritizing critical business functions, such as finding new ways. Prioritizing critical business functions such as equipment, gas, water, electricity, heat. So, as well as inventory and stock. Immediate response to critical incidents. So, just like it's what it says, you want to be fast and clear of critical incidents like disasters and power outages and stuff like that. Strategies for restaurants to stay in business. So, with the restaurant getting older and older, your clientele will change, and so there always got to be strategies for your restaurant to stay in business, and such as marketing as well as promoting new things in your business, as well as catering to the locals and tourists. Review and update plan. You want to review and update your BCP because every year it will change. It should change because new things come. It shouldn't change too much, but it does. It should change where you learn from your mistakes and such. And finding alternative sites. This was big in my BCP because if something were to happen in the primary facility in the business, there's got to be an alternative site to function while the primary site is down and out. So in my BCP, I thought finding an alternative site was pretty major to continue business. So risk management, I made a small table of 3 risks that may or may not happen. So the 3 risks I thought that may or may not happen: security, fire, and earthquake. Security, for one, I don't think it's very likely, but the impact would be high because robbery will always impact your business. Sorry. Priority. I think it's a medium priority. You do want to be safe in your building and where you're working. So I believe cameras and alarms should be things that to prevent robbery and such, or criminals coming. As well, though, the small strip mall that the business is in does have a security guard that comes in every day at 10 p.m. that closes the doors and makes sure all the alarms are set. But I do think there should be more security and more alarms just to be able to prevent things like robbery. Fire. I think the likelihood of this would be in the middle because you're always going to be working with fire if you're in a restaurant. The impact would be high because you could literally turn your restaurant, your business, into ashes. Priority, I do think it's a pretty high priority because you're always working with fire, and it is a hazard because it is really dangerous to use fire. I do believe small semi-annual fire drills would be necessary to help prevent fire because you want to know what you should do in a fire and be able to have a leader in the fire drills for customers to be able to be safe as well. Lastly, earthquake. I do know that Alaska does have earthquakes, but they aren't as big or not likely to happen. But if they were to happen, I do believe a large earthquake would be a high impact on the business, as well as priority should be in the middle. Small training drills annually, just in case anything does happen, and because you may never know, and you may never know when it hits. So my BIA, or business impact analysis. So the focus points were contact info, critical functions, stakeholders, single point of failure, and risk assessment. So the first point, contact info, I think it's very important to know who to contact and who to call, pretty much. But in my business, it's a 3-man team every day, so you already know who to call because they're family as well. So it's pretty easy who to contact. Critical functions, such as heat, gas, water, fire, gas. Yeah, you want to know what's important, as well as inventory and stock. You want to know what critical functions you have to do and what role you have to, what you have to keep the business afloat. Stakeholders. So the family is pretty much the stakeholders, but the stakeholders should always talk to each other and let each other know what's going on. If one stakeholder, like one of the owners or myself, leaves for a couple of weeks, we should always let each other know what's happening and what our focus is for the next days and what happened the times we've left. Single point of failure. I think this one's big for my business because if one of the owners is sick or not feeling well, the business closes for the day and there's no notification or anything like that. There's only just a small sign that says we're closed. So I do think it's a really big problem right now. But I believe once we have the social media and different modes of contacting customers, it would be easier because a 3-man team is pretty stressful every day, almost every day, because the amount of customers and such. And I do think there are simple solutions such as hiring more people or working less hours, such as that, but we're still working on it. And risk assessment, I believe we should do our own risk assessment as well, not just the inspector coming in every now and then. I do think a risk assessment of our own would be beneficial because we would know what risks we're taking in everyday work, such as fire and such as burglary, and flooding, just things like that. It may or may not happen, but you want to be ready for things like that. Incident response plan, communication, statements, crisis checklist, first aid, roles, and contact info. So in a incident response plan, I do think communication is key. Letting your customers, letting your stakeholders, your owners, every employee know what's happening right now, what we're doing. For example, we make a statement. Like if our owner is sick, we make a statement where our customers and stakeholders may see what to put in the statement, such as owner or / head chef is sick. Sorry for the inconvenience, such as that, and we put it in English and Korean for the locals and the tourists. Crisis checklist, I do think it's very important, such as checklisting, a checklist of inventory, a checklist of things we should have, like first aid kits and little small things, such as those things every household should have and every business should have, just in case anything were to happen, just like a fire extinguisher and a working fire alarm. Roles and contact info. Since it is a 3-man team, I do think roles are pretty easy to assign. The two owners are, the two owners are my parents, so it's easy to who to follow and who to give instructions to, which is me, because I'm the youngest, so I will always do what they say, because I trust them, and that's their role as the leader, as well as contact info, who to call, such as 911, and the fire department and the police, such as that, and your family, the owner phone number, and as well as plumbing and BCP maintenance, training, after action reports, reviewing schedule, and reviews. I think training is very important. If we were to have a new chef, training is important, but in this BCP, training as in like fire drills and annual earthquake drills will be helpful. We will do drills in full scale, like what to do with if the customers are here and there were to be an earthquake or a big fire, what we would do, like a full scale role play. That greatly help because it would be more realistic. After action reports, mistakes, improvements. You can after action reports are really nice to have. You can see your mistakes and you can improve on them. It's just easy to review as well. Review schedules. You want to check with suppliers, vendors, if anything were to happen, because they are your main supplier and they have the food you want. So if they were to be behind, you want to schedule that beforehand and see what you can do to substitute or mitigate the bad schedule. Reviews, Yelp, and I think Yelp is very useful. It's a useful tool. You can see from a different perspective what you can improve on and what you did great. So you can learn from those websites such as Yelp and Urban Spoon. And any questions? And lastly, as a source, thank you to my family that owns Jung Korean Restaurant, and thank you to Sue and Sun Mang, my parents. Thank you.